All right. Welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith with Just the Tips Coaching. And we've got a really cool guest for you guys today. Literally like the uh, long-time listener, first-time caller kind of experience going on here. This is somebody who's been in the trenches for what we do here at Just the Tips and pretty much knows all the things that we know and all the secrets and all the tips and tricks and techniques and tactics and on and on and on, and has really an interesting perspective just because of the path of his decade-long career in real estate here. So welcome to the show, the Big Z, Jeff Zoerb. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, buddy.
How
Happy
are
Monday.
you, Big Z? Yeah, Mondays. Although you probably already know, because again, you know all the things, that the majority of our audience is listenership, not viewership. And for those of you that are catching us in live or in syndication on the Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube video casts, then cool. Thank you for watching. But our listening audience actually doesn't get the podcast until Wednesday. So when you're telling them happy Monday, they're probably all really glad that it isn't.
Happy day that ends in a Y.
There you go. There you go. That pretty much covers it. Although I think we found that in the adult world, the weeks pretty much go Monday, 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 Friday.
At least in this industry.
No, in mine, maybe. In yours, I think it's just 7 straight Mondays. There's really no break. All right. So, Jeff, you've got a fairly unique path for people that have been on the show before, because it's not the usual, I was in some kind of sales gig and I got into real estate, or I started as somebody's admin assistant or receptionist and got my license and moved into real estate. Your 2 lengthy previous careers, and we'll talk about it because I do think it's applicable to what you do now, that led to, a sharp right turn into real estate, has actually amassed at this point to you taking over and running an entire independent boutique real estate operation that was in business for years, long before you knew how to sell real estate, before you even knew how to spell real estate.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So, and that was not an insult. Yes, I do joke about how there are originators and agents that don't even know how to spell VOE or DTI or whatever the case may be. That's an old running joke. MLS. Yeah, there are agents that don't know how to spell MLS. But that's really, I think, relevant to how unique your path has been and how valuable it is for the kind of, I don't want to say content, but the kind of outlook and leadership and things that you bring to the table. Now, this is going to be a really interesting conversation for those of you listening, because Jeff is one of those people who absolutely refuses to admit that he brings a ton to the table. He is one of the most humble people I've ever come across in that sense, where a lot of real estate agents are egomaniacal pricks. Jeff doesn't have that. In fact, Jeff's at the opposite end of the spectrum and even refuses to give himself credit for the things that he deserves all the credit for. So this will kind of be an interesting path as this goes. But Jeff, let's not pull any punches. Really, your first adult life career was in the Marine Corps.
Semper Fi.
Hoorah, you crayon eater, you. Very cool stuff. And you actually had a really cool gig there as well, because you did security detail all over the world.
Yeah, after Desert Storm, I went into the Marine Corps. That's kind of an interesting, leading up to that, what led me to the Marine Corps was kind of like a country song. My cat died. My girlfriend broke up with me. I couldn't find a job. I just recently become a certified paralegal. Was interning with a private investigator.
But had your truck broken down?
No, but my car was such that I had gotten a car anticipating a big job and couldn't make the payments. So
this is a country song.
Helen, you grab your guitars.
Okay.
And I was interning with a private investigator. He did legal investigative work, court cases, and there you go. There you go.
It's not really fitting over my headphones, but yeah.
He was a former Marine, post Vietnam era. And so I went home and I told my dad, I said, let's go talk to these recruiters. It was right off of like 88th and Washington. All the recruiters were all set up. We literally went from one to the next, went home, went back to my dad the next day and said, come on, we're going to go sign up. I want to go to the Marine Corps. I didn't need him, but I was over 18. I was just 18 at the time. And we went and I signed up for the Marine Corps. That would have been like probably October, November. Didn't even tell my mom until I had already signed up. That was problems. That was a whole nother Oprah. But
That's a whole other Oprah.
And I was in boot camp by February.
Okay. And this was a long time ago. This was leading up to the Civil War.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I getting back to that, I was actually in boot camp, got through my job training, and was assigned to a non-deployable air wing support unit when Desert Storm started and we deployed.
Okay.
So I did advanced party. I did my time there. I volunteered to bring gear home. So it was a good 6-7 months turn for me. But after that, I was accepted to the Marine Security Guard program, being a diplomatic security guard at our embassies and consulates overseas.
That's really cool stuff. There's a unique piece of that training. And obviously, we talk to a lot of military folks, you and I in general. And there are obviously a lot of military folks in the mortgage space, in the real estate space, ex-military, retired, or, did their tour and got out, whatever the case may be. And, everybody kind of gets a specialized school if you want to take advantage of it. I've got a wonderful client that, rebuilt F-14 engines in the hothouse out of Buckley. That was her gig. And obviously I had to go through a lot of specialized training for that kind of thing. And they kind of teach you a very specific skill set when it comes to whatever that job that is, whether it's rebuilding jet engines, which is crazy. And if you've never seen the jet engine on the ground out of the plane running, that is an experience. That is really cool. But being in embassy security detail or consulate security detail, you are given a very specific additional set of training measures that really kind of open your eyes and ears to things that most people wouldn't see, which I think is valuable because I think that has played some into your real estate business. And for those of you that don't know, Jeff and I have known each other a good while now. We're very in tune with each other's businesses. We do quite a bit of work together, among other things. So I'm kind of able to watch and see what Jeff does that a lot of other real estate agents don't do. And I think some of it comes from that training. But subsequent to that gig, you actually had another grown-up career as a private investigator.
I did. Yeah. After I got out of the Corps, I returned back to Colorado, hooked back up with Joe, the gentleman that I had interned with, and worked with him. I got connected with another PI company and learned two different facets of the industry. Started my own business, printed my business cards, a flyer, and bought into an advertisement in the Yellow Pages.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the thing that we make the kids sit on so they can reach the table.
Yeah, and grandma's.
Grandma's house. Okay.
Yeah, and I started my PI business in the basement of my mom and dad's house at the time. Started off with domestic infidelity cases, cheating spouse stuff, serving papers, background checks, just general research, and spanned that through 22 years.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah.
Okay.
9/11 hit. We got into security cameras, systems. As that got saturated, made another turn into more criminal defense work. And by the time I was done, I kind of created a niche for myself in child custody, dependency, and neglect cases.
Okay. So here's another unique career that has a skill set that a lot of people don't really have, that we've really got to be very eyes open, ears open to everything around us. Now, you and I have talked for years about eyes open, ears open when it comes to lead gen. Now, that's a very big deal because as a real estate agent, and I know you know this, but I don't know that all of our audience or any new audience would actually know this. It's really a cool job in the sense that everybody you meet, everybody you come into contact with, whether you meet them face to face, social media, whatever, is a potential client, lead, or advocate, because they will either do business with you or will do business with you or could refer business to you, whatever the case may be, because everybody either owns real estate, wants to, or knows someone who does own real estate or wants to own real estate, that kind of thing. So being eyes and ears open to all of the opportunities out there as a real estate agent is a really, really big piece of the puzzle. And your two previous grown-up careers prior to being in real estate kind of lead to that. They lend a certain skill set to very eyes open, ears open, where a lot of us are, kind of negligent to that. Like, I don't have any idea what's going on the street right now outside my window, and you probably do. It's just not something that I'm in tune, because I haven't been security detail. I haven't been a private investigator. So I'm not just constantly aware, audible, visual surroundings. So I think that that's really impressive. And I think that some of the things that have lent to that skill set when it comes to your modern day real estate career are things like, what's actually going on with this house? Where am I, not understanding why it's, been on and off the market 6 times in as many months, that kind of thing. Why has the price dropped? Why has it fallen out of contract 3 times? Those sorts of things. I do also think it lends a lot to the way you read people and are able to figure out what they want. Now, I know you and I have worked a lot on personality profiling, those kinds of things, DISC, and a lot of Enneagram work.
Me, Claude, Jet,
yeah,
GPT.
yeah, no question. And I do think that that's funny as well, because we have done a lot of work in AI recently, and I do think that that's also very fascinating stuff. In fact, I really like what the AI has to say about your personality. I think that's a unique piece of the puzzle.
Back to what you said a little bit ago, trying to create my own UVP. It took me down some avenues, roads, rabbit holes that I don't personally ever stop to think about. Most recently, it was
late last week. Alice in Wonderland, buddy.
Oh,
you did.
It was having me. I was asking it about what books, based on what it knew about me, I should read. And with the whole new rebranding and all of that, it gave me some books, and we started going down rabbit holes with that. And then it got to, well, why do you think that's your personality, and what life event? I'm like, holy cow, man! I was bringing up stuff from 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Okay, so for all of those of you watching or listening, Jeff's psychotherapist is Claude. He's actually
Jarvis.
in therapy with Claude. Jarvis. Okay. And that's something else you guys should know. One of Jeff's quirks are naming his AI. Claude is Jarvis. ChatGPT is Joshua.
Yeah.
That's an old War Games reference for those of you that aren't old enough to know who Matt Broderick is. But how about a nice game of chess? All right. So I do think that that's actually an interesting foray, because I think, don't get me wrong, there's some real estate agents out there doing some killer things with AI. I've even seen some agents building out virtual agents with AI. Literally everything, and they're doing everything except, unlocking the door for a show. When it comes to that, it's really, really impressive. I'm really, I don't want to say amused. That's not the right word, but enthralled,
Intrigued.
intrigued with some of the things that people are doing with AI right now. And I'm not talking about like the stupid cartoon action figure, the Christmas photo with the giant candy cane, that kind of shit. I'm not talking about using AI as a novelty. I'm really enamored with people using it in the sense that, and I say cutting edge when it comes to AI, but what's cutting edge today is, historic tomorrow. It's moving so fast. It's just very, very difficult to say you're using AI in a very cutting edge manner because, well, if you are today, you're not tomorrow. Okay. But basically building out a real estate team, all virtual AI. Literally. And I know that sounds crazy. And we've talked to a couple of agents that have been through some training for it and through some seminars on it, that kind of thing. And it is really, really impressive. But what you're doing in AI is still light years ahead of what most people in sales are doing. And a little bit of it's very rabbit hole. There's no question. You're kind of diving down. And then you and I talked about that interview with Claude essentially becoming self-aware and how close we are to that. It's fascinating, it's wonderful, and it is fucking terrifying all at the same time. Which who knows what that's going to lead to, although based on what's going on in the state of the world right now, I've heard all kinds of crazy rumors as well. So maybe it won't be necessary. For all we know, next week we won't have to pay our bills because the Iranians are going to hack the bureaus and wipe out all of the Americans' debt. So cool, go for it. I've been holding off to make some payments on some bills.
Hold on, so. I gotta go shopping today.
Oh God, yeah, I'm gonna go straight over to the Porsche dealer and pick out something nice. But I do think that it is valuable for everyone, including our audience, to know that none of what we've discussed, none of what your history has been, is making you, by modern day definition, a computer whiz.
No,
I mean, you're literally still on par with Matthew Broderick back in, War Games 1983. And
totally.
you might still pick up the phone and put it into a manual modem for all I can recall of the last time I saw your home office there. But you're light years ahead of what a lot of people are doing with it. And we've seen a lot of that and I do want to discuss this subject because I do think it's valuable for our audience, but you've been using it a lot in the way of, rebranding. Mm-hmm. And you're on a big rebranding push right now because you basically took over this very historic. How long has the brokerage actually been in business?
Well, probably now close to 40 years.
40 years. And
in one form or another, yeah.
Right. And you're just now kind of at the helm.
Yeah.
And kind of making it your own. And we've done a lot of work on that rebranding and retooling and what that's going to look like going forward. And AI lent a huge amount of input for that.
Huge amount of input, yeah.
Oh, yeah. From learning about you and coming up with what good company names might be, good company logos might be, the incorporation of the things that Jeff holds, near and dear to his heart, like the core, like the dog. For those of you that don't know, Jeff has this giant, lovable polar lab named Champ. And he is really a big part of who Jeff is and what Jeff does. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, go check out some of Jeff's content when it comes to like Champ inspecting all the backyards of houses that Jeff has on the market to determine whether or not it's suitable. Is the backyard suitable? Does it meet Champ standards? that kind of thing. And Jeff put a camera on Champ and just let him run around the yard and, sniff it out literally to determine if this was a good property for a dog owner, which of course is a huge percent of the population guilty here in Colorado. We, I think per capita, we're like second highest behind New York, something to that effect. There's something like 8 million people in the 5 boroughs and 14 million pets. Literally something to that effect, which seems wild because it's Manhattan. It's the 5 boroughs, and obviously Colorado's a little different when it comes to open space, parks, places for pups to run and play. But I think that the AI piece of what it brought in to what it was going to look like for you to do that branding and take this company at the helm and move it forward was a result of you spending time with your AI. And you do, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people are still failing to understand that computers are still dumb. They only know what we teach them. Now, granted, AI knows everything we've ever known in the history, the recordable history of mankind. But does it know the specifics about the user? Does it know that you have this crazy giant lab who is a big part of your identity? Does it know that you were in the Corps and that that's a big part of your identity? These kinds of things. And does it know that you're taking those skill sets, everything along the spectrum, from being in a security detail with the Marine Corps to being a, goofball dog owner lover? I mean, you and Champ are very similar that way. He's a little more physically active than you, but you guys both have this goofball Labrador 12-year-old mentality, which is actually funny because we had talked about this being the adolescence of your real estate career.
Yep, I'm in my teen years.
You're in realtor. It's realtor puberty. Jeff's in realtor puberty. It started to get a little hair in some places. It's interesting.
Voice is changing.
Your voice is changing. Yep. And that you and Champ are both basically, adolescent boys. That kind of thing. So the reason that it's been so successful for you, that it's been so productive, that it's really helped you shape and mold, especially when it comes to all these things with the rebranding, are because of the time you've spent with it. It knows about you. So of course, going through the program at JTT, we literally forced you to do this with a lot of other people, to take personality profiles, top of the list being Enneagram. And you didn't hesitate for a minute to give your AI your Enneagram. Like, shit, I want it to know about me. Here's a great way to do that.
I gave it my Enneagram, and then based on everything else, I've given it, I said, now based on what compared to the Enneagram, let's figure out where it's at, kind of as an audit, right? Based on what I've given it, what I've worked through with it, what it knows about me. And it was actually quite interesting. It had a slightly different take than the actual Enneagram, results.
Right.
It was interesting, but a couple different rabbit holes on that one.
Yeah. Well, and I do think that's, I don't want to say an issue. Obviously, it's very easy, internet, anything to go down a rabbit hole. But I do think that when it comes to exploring AI, and I think that that's a loose term, exploring, but I do think that it applies here, that you've learned an awful lot about you that we didn't know, that doing a personality profile didn't know. And there's a very, very big difference between doing a personality profile and doing it authentically. It's obviously very easy to skew the results, so you've got to be very straightforward with it. But you've also fed it a ton about your business. And for AI to be able to merge those essentially and give you results is invaluable. And I think it's led a big part into how you've been able to really get a handle and control of how your rebranding looks.
It's been instrumental. Getting to understand my voice, who I am, and it's been just as enlightening for me. I know this sounds ridiculous, um, but understanding who I am, what my priorities are, what my focus and goals are, my philosophies in life, it's been invaluable.
Has
Really
it
has
had
been.
an impact on how you approach your business?
Yeah, it gives me an understanding. I'm more of just go do it. Think, debrief after, see if there's anything we could have done better, learn from it. Um,
Take imperfect
but
action.
not in taking perfect, but not necessarily on a personal level. And understanding that personal aspect has given me an understanding of maybe why I do things this way or I do things that way, or why I approach things the way I do. And understanding that is helping shine a light on how to approach this rebranding.
Okay. Has it given you any insight as to how to also approach your lead gen,
Yes,
your social media work,
absolutely.
your conversations, how to
Yeah,
analyze clientele? I do think it's really important for our audience to understand that you do a lot of estate work.
yeah,
So it's not quite as interpersonal as the typical home buyer, home seller, because you're dealing with a lot of personal representatives, you're dealing with a lot of court related issues, those sorts of things, which also have a very distinct eye-opening kind of path in how to approach those kinds of things. But I do think that it's important for our audience to know that, because you do have a bit of a niche there that lends to a very different skill set than dealing and I know that you do both, so don't get me wrong. I know of somebody who isn't on the verge of dying or already dead, that it is valuable for people to know that they can use you. But I think all of this has led up to where your business is really regimented. It's really systemized. Let's talk about the P's. I think the P's are
yeah.
a perfect example of that. And this is something that you basically generated from that experience, from your previous to real estate experience, and that it's played a part in your real estate business to where you are really helping people that are buying or selling homes, even if they're not using you to do that, understand what some proper steps are to get through this process as painlessly as possible. God, I just used a lot of P words there.
You did.
Why don't you tell us what yours are?
Well, the premise of the P's is based on the Marine Corps' prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
I'm going to pull out a dictionary here and get all my P words together.
The premise of it is basically just be prepared, be proactive, be prepared, have a plan, have a contingency plan. And if you do all of that, your performance won't be piss poor, right?
Yeah.
So taking those, and there's others out there. There's the 3 P's of real estate. There's the 5 P's of real estate. But I kind of developed this into a program then for buyers and for sellers. So as an example, for the buyers 7 P's, the first one would be picture. Stop, close your eyes, and picture yourself in what kind of home you envision yourself being in. What is it that you would like? Do you need a ranch style home? Do you need something with a yard for an animal? Do you need something closer to public transportation? Just think about it. What do you envision yourself in? The second would be preparation. Now you kind of have an idea. Start preparation, and that's really building your team. Getting in touch with the professionals that are going to help you, a realtor, lender, depending upon if you need more further assistance with down payment assistance or credit repair or budgeting. Just start the preparation process. Then it goes through product, then the pricing, and all the way down to the last P, which would be party. You've achieved it. You followed these steps. You've attained your goal. You've become a homeowner. So take a step back and enjoy it. You've earned it. You've done it. You've followed it. Now party. You deserve it. Have fun.
Okay. Anything unique on the sell side?
Sales side is the same, except for like preparation would be more geared towards getting your home ready to sell, right? Whether this for like you're picturing yourself, is this the right time for me? Why am I selling? What's the purpose in selling? What is my goal in trying to achieve to sell? And then the P's are all the same. It's just more geared towards, I guess we have a promote, right? Because we have a listing, so we're promoting it. What does that look like? And then again, at the end, you've sold your home. Congratulations, let's party.
Party. All right. I don't know why I get visions of Sinbad in my head when we say party. Party. All right. Because I'm old. That's why. Yeah. For those of you that are not Gen X or beyond, he was kind of a stand-up comedian. You may go down that rabbit hole with war games as well. How about a nice game of chess? So as I expected, we've obviously run over time. Let's certainly get you booked for another episode. We'll try and squeeze one in here in the not too distant future. I think we've still got a few openings late this year, early next year. Try to get it done within the next 12 months anyway. But Jeff, this stuff's invaluable. I think, in closing, as it were, I think it's really important for people to understand that you have got to be using AI. I mean,
I think the biggest thing is especially for those that are older, those of us that are older, don't be afraid. The worst that it is just time, right? But spend the time. It's an invaluable tool. Is if you put into it what you want, you will get out of it tenfold.
What you need, yeah.
What you need.
Yeah.
The roadmap that this has helped me with my with my personal growth, with my business growth. It's helped me focus on where I'm headed and which direction I'm going, and there's no doubt that it was because of that.
I do think it's really valuable to understand as well that the real estate agent industry is always going to have new people. There's an enormous revolving door, right? I mean, the old stats, and I don't know what they are now, were that 80% fail in the first 2 years, 85% in the first 5, and yet there's always a significant number of real estate agents. So you've got to assume that a lot of them that come into the business on that revolving door, regular type of pace are younger than you and I. Mm-hmm. Millennials, even Gen Z, that kind of thing. And these tools are second nature to them. They're coming to the table with more ammunition than you have.
They've cheated their way through school using them.
There might be some truth to that. We're not going to go there. Do I know people that have done that? Maybe. I'm not naming any names.
Daughter.
Yeah, sorry. But they basically came out of the womb with a smartphone. And if you're not going to take the time to build your arsenal with the same tools, the same weapons that people coming in now, you're falling behind. I mean, how can you compete? Now, granted, even if only 20% of those people survive and become career real estate agents, they're doing it well. And they're doing it in a manner that is so far advanced beyond what you and I had as tools going into the business, even just a decade ago, or 2 or 3, I'm probably approaching. it's a very big deal to take advantage of this stuff. And I think that we've seen this historically. There were people that were reluctant, 15 years ago to get into social media. And there were people a decade ago reluctant to get into video. And if you are reluctant now, you're absolutely hurting yourself. Just start using it, please, for the love of God.
Action.
Yeah, take imperfect action. You'll get better
forward
as you go along. Yeah, no question. Avoid the analysis paralysis. No doubt about it. I think I said that whole sentence without a P word. I just put that out there.
But I'll have to say to that though, and I know we could go on forever. We could do this all day, you and I.
Oh yeah.
I am the analysis by paralysis, or paralysis by analysis, whatever you want to say. Overanalyze, not take the action because of this or that. Just take it. Just jump.
Even if it means redoing it.
Do the damn work.
A lot of what we've kind of circumnavigated here, talking about different tools that lend to it, are your milestone videos. And you've redone them at least once in the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think they're getting ready to be revamped again.
And it's not just because the industry changes and the way that we're kind of conducting the actual formal steps in a real estate transaction change. And they do. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you're forced to redo them every so often because of that. But just because of what you've learned and what you've been able to assess by doing them, you knew how to go back and do it better.
My voice has changed.
Well,
and I'm not talking pubescent. But, to that point, same thing with the lead gen videos.
Yeah, true story. And there's all kinds of different things that you've done in that space as well when it comes to camp, when it comes to your dad.
Dad jokes.
Yeah, dad jokes. I mean, we obviously didn't scratch the surface on the campaign that you have taken under your wing in the interest of finding a cure for Alzheimer's. That obviously strikes a very personal chord with you. And we'll talk about that at some future date here. We'll get you back on the show and talk about some of these other, they're not really lead gen campaigns, but campaigns that make you human and not just a real estate machine. And we all know right now that people are far more concerned about who you are than what you do. What do you believe in? What do you like? What are you into? How do you think? Those kinds of things. Because that's how we attract audience. That's how we find the people that we do want to work with, and how we silently and organically repel the people we wouldn't want to work with. So there are a lot of those things that are invaluable as well, but same kind of thing. Take imperfect action, start working on it, let it go, and just get better with time. Yeah. And a lot of people don't. All right. We're going to stop there, everybody, because, Jeff's right. We could do this literally forever. I can't give you any kind of insight as to the hours that Jeff and I have spent talking about this kind of stuff. I don't know. It's probably thousands at this point. But we're very, very close that way in both work and life. So we'll bring Jeff back onto the show so you guys can get some more insight about how he has developed over his real estate career and what things are on the horizon for him as well. So thanks for doing it, Jeff.
Thanks for having me, sir.
I know I monopolize a lot of your time, so for you to agree to another hour here has been just another drop in the bucket, but thank you for doing it. And I know carving out that kind of time on a Monday morning when everything is going berserk, especially right now, is really important. So thank you again for
glad to do it. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
All right, cool. And for the rest of you watching or listening live or in syndication, you can catch new episodes live on Monday mornings in a video cast at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and the podcast on Amazon, Apple, and Spotify a mere 48 hours later. And we're well into our 9th year of doing this, which seems absolutely insane to me. But for the rest of you, if you want to see previous episodes, or you want to catch our video blog, The Weekly Little Tip, or you want to find copies of this or check out our annual conference, whatever it is, go check out justthetipscoaching.com and you'll find all that stuff. I'm not going to bore you with the details. You guys all know how to read. So you can go find that. Otherwise, Jeff, thank you again.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the rest of you, we'll be back next week with another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. And until then, we'll see you next time.